How did you get into art?
Into art?
Like, take us from somebody handed me a crayon at Christmas time,
Oh God.
and now here you are.
I think I got into art when I figured out that I didn't have to pay rent if I took classes at a community college. And I remember my brother asking me what I wanted to do, and I said, oh, I want to make videos like MTV. And I took some photography classes, got into photography, then pursued that, and went to ASU, got my Bachelor of Fine Art in photography, and then I stayed in and was doing some installation stuff and working with computer and then video, and then I got into the graduate program at ASU in '96 and graduated in '96 with my intermediate master's. But all that whole time I was at ASU. Well, actually, '87 I think I started doing stuff downtown through Mars, and then it was kind of interesting down here. You could talk to a poet or a sculptor, and it was just natural. And then at the school, each department had really its own language when it came to critique. The photographers would look at a photograph and talk about Freudian symbolism and the decisive moment, and the painters would look at their paintings and think of gesture and brushstroke, and totally different issues were being talked about. But in downtown, you could talk to, it's just art. You just talk to everybody. And back then, the town closed down at about 5 o'clock. Even McDonald's closed down at 5 o'clock. And there was this not so faint smell of sewer that would come up after 5. And I think it was because everybody stopped flushing because they left town. But it was pretty dead down here. And I guess I started hanging around down at the First Bobe on Taylor next to Rose's studio. And then just kind of went from there. Back then, if 250 people showed up for your opening, they were almost always all artists, and you knew everybody. And then it's just kind of exploded. You know, we always begged for an audience, and now we got it. So,
Now there is.
yeah.
Did your interaction with Mars back then lead you to be what you are now? Did it influence that marketing?
Well, I met Jeff and Annie. I met Michelle Ceballos, or Cote, or whatever she's calling herself, the dancer. And the Allwyn brothers, and that's, you should interview them. And started hanging around with, down here people were doing art just because, whereas at the school they might have been doing it for a grade, or between getting drunk on the weekends. But an interesting statistic about grad school was that 95% of people who get a master's in fine art stop making art within 5 years of graduation. So,
What causes it to happen?
real life, no one appreciates art, can't sell it. Got kids, whatever, got to pay the rent. And then who's going to appreciate it? So it's kind of like you really have to be motivated or infected, I don't know, to do it. I think just keeping doing it after getting out of school, that's success. It's nice to have a show. I kind of think of it as I get kind of three thrills of making art. One is thinking about it, getting the idea for it. The other one is actually making it. And then the third is showing it, which I think is part of the process. I don't think it's art if it's in the closet, no one sees it. It's only art when somebody's actually having an aesthetic experience with it. Art's a verb. They have to be doing it, thinking about it. If it's not a thing on the wall or an object made, it's the interaction with that. It's experiential.
Does the collaboration of the other artists that are in the space with you have an influence?
Well, it definitely helps keeping doing it because you're hanging around people who have convinced themselves that somehow it's worthwhile and important and meaningful. So I guess I think I know that I'm fooling myself, but it gives my life meaning, so I don't care. I'm having fun.
And do you notice, because you've been here over a period of time, that now that there are a lot more creative spaces downtown, what's your take on how the culture of downtown has been affected by that?
Well, I think it's great. I think that, a lot of it is this kind of bohemian and bourgeois kind of interacting. The red tile neighborhood people will come in to look at the weird people, and the weird people downtown we'll make art in protest of those people, and it's just kind of like this. They kind of need each other, but just having warm bodies come through, and if you can affect somebody, that's what it's about.
So what's next for you? Where are you going with your creative?
What's next? I'm working on a couple televisors. I've been working with some music programs, putting together some instrumentation. It's actually like full orchestra of Mozart music from the scores in GarageBand, which I've been doing most of the year, I guess.
And I remember in the second iteration of the Bow, which was downtown.
Third.
You did some. Yeah, it was on 3rd Street in Jefferson.
North of there. It probably a little north of Fillmore, a little south of Roosevelt.
I remember you did the backdrops for lifeguards.
Oh yeah, that was great. And that was kind of like a really exciting collaboration because I really liked their music, and I had this animation, and they let me show it, and it really, when I was creating that stuff, that was really a nice outlet for it, and really pushed me to do more. But I think at one time there was 3-4 tracks of video, and 2 25-inch monitors on the side, and a middle monitor, and a projection system, and it was all choreographed for maybe an hour-and-a-half show. And because it was 2D animation and rhythmic kind of sequencing, that they could play anything and it looked like it was matching it. But there were some moments that was really, really cool. In fact, shortly after graduation, I went with them out to Long Beach. They had a gig at I think it was the Arc Space or something, and the Elephants went out and packed up my 2 TVs, felt like I was in the band, and it was a nice little trip. And a woman came up after the show and said, "Oh, you did the animations? I want to have your baby." That's the first time that happened. Oh, you were there. Oh, yeah, that's right. You went into the ocean. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, yeah. How did you get there? You were driving with us, were you? With the Elephants. That's right. Okay. I remember coming back. I got a hamburger at a gas station, and when I got in the car, Peter's like, "I have to smell that the rest of the way." I couldn't believe it. But yeah, that's right. You did go. Yeah, and a couple times went up to Flagstaff, and that was really interesting. And their music is so hypnotic. In fact, it was inspiration on a lot of the animations that I was doing, and it was just kind of a nice kind of joining or nice little moment there where things
really.
really.
Some Scottsdale shows right after that.
Yeah, I was represented by Lisa Setti, and I've done this year I've had a show, or last year I had a show at SIGGRAPH. I was part of the art show at the SIGGRAPH convention in LA, and then I had actually 2 shows in Louisville, Kentucky, at the University of Louisville. In one gallery was 8 televisors, and then in the other gallery was a series of video works that I've been working on with Jeff Falk for probably about 10-15 years, with using a Tyco video camera and kind of transposing his performance work. And sometimes it was, sometimes I remember one time, and I remember the date, it was like December 28th, and we were down here, and we had made a plan to shoot some stuff, and I didn't have a plan, and I didn't even feel like doing it, when I was down here. And he goes, "Okay, are you ready?" And we looked around. He had the skull head, and he had a whole bunch of light up lawn ornaments, like for Christmas. And he had one for Christmas. He had one for Easter, and one for almost every holiday. So we put him on a chair, and with one framing, shot this work, and actually it came out. It was really, really nice piece. And the soundtrack I used, I got from a Drift CD that someone had given me, recorded at the boat. So and then just listening to that, even the background, hearing the voices and stuff, brought back some good memories.